Welcome back, conscious creators, healers, old souls, and intuitives. For those who don't know, my name is Jay, and today we are back with another video. Now, last video we talked about what it means to awaken in the ascension process. Now, today I want to take that concept to the next level and talk about what's known as karmic cycles. Now, if you don't know what karmic cycles you're in for a treat. And if you do know what karmic cycles is, we're going to take it even further with karmic cycles, answering three fundamental questions. The first question is, what is a karmic cycle? The second question is how to identify when you're caught up in one. And three, what to do to pull yourself out of it. What I do every time I see myself caught up in one. How do I pull myself out of the cycle and begin living my life from a creator type of mentality? So first, let's start off, what is a karmic cycle? Now, watching the last video, going back to last video, we talked about the process of awakening. Now, the first stage that most people go through is the Big Bang stage. That's when something crazy happened in your life. Like when you thought your life was going to go one way, and then life come in and say, you know what? No, it's not going to go that way. Like you've been in a relationship for 5 years and you're getting ready to marry that person, and then you find out the whole 5 years she's been lying. Or you've been in a job like for 10 years now, and you're ready to make that your life, and next thing you know, you find out they fire you in a blink of an eye. Something happens in your life that completely changed your direction. And to be honest, Big Bangs hurts. It is uncomfortable to experience, especially if you believe in the illusion. Especially if you were really convinced that you're going to stay in that job, or you was really convinced that that person is for you. When life come in and say no, that can really hurt. I'll share a personal perspective from mine. I was once in a relationship for years and years and years and years, and I was more in the relationship for the idea that I thought that person was than I was for who they actually was. And when the truth set in for who they actually was, it ruined my whole idea. And that hurt. It hurts so bad, it causes a form of trauma. And it causes a form of trauma because when you get hurt so bad, you're willing to do whatever it takes not to let that happen to you again. Like, you become completely anti whatever that is. Like, if you're even at a company and the company fire you, you like, you know what, I'm not buying no more of their products. I'm telling all of my friends don't go. Like, you are willing to do anything it takes not to have that experience repeat itself in your life. You see, this is what sets you up for the karmic cycle. And it's so ironic that because you're doing anything not to experience it, that's what sets you up to experience again. And I'm going to tell you how. Because once you start to say, no, I don't want that again, you then separate yourself. You then start to say, whenever you see that pop back up, or whenever even that thought, that emotion come back up in your life, you're ready to fight it. You're ready to go on the defense and say, I don't want that to happen to me again. That can stay over there. That's for the birds. That's some BS. You start to say all of these, pushing this thing away. But what you're doing is you're also creating an enemy in your head. So while you're over here fighting this past, fighting what has happened, and you're at odds with it, that don't mean it's still happening right now. It's not happening anymore, but you're still there because you have created an enemy that you got to defend yourself from now. So a karmic cycle comes around when you first understand, okay, now I've separated myself. Now I'm fighting something in my life. You see, when you're fighting something in your life, the fight goes for a certain amount of time. You may be against your company for what? After you got fired for maybe 5-6 months, but then it gets boring to you, you get over it. You say, okay, I'm ready to pick up the pieces. I love myself. I'm ready to move forward. So then you begin moving forward in your life, and the next thing you know, you get hired at a new job, or you find a new relationship, and you in a relationship where you're at the job for a certain amount of time. Next thing you know, they start showing some tendencies that look really familiar to your last job. Like, you notice, okay, you starting to do the same thing they started to do right before they fired me, or right before the relationship ended. You're starting to show me those tendencies. You see, now when you start to see it in other people, you start to see it in your life, it triggers you to go back to the fight again. You're like, okay, no, I see you doing the same thing. I don't want this to happen again. You see, your triggers will always remind you of the enemy, or what you have created an enemy out of. And your triggers will pull you back into it. Have you noticed that sometimes you can be super high in your life, feeling super good, and out of nowhere something happens, somebody trigger you, somebody say something, and you're back fighting a part of yourself that's in the past. You see, that trigger makes you go back to where you were and begin that fighting process all over again, and you let it go again. Then you go back out, somebody trigger you back again. You see, a karmic cycle is when the cycle keeps coming around. You're really high, you forget about it, and you're living your life as a creator. You're going after what you want. And then somebody say something to you, something happened in your life that reminds you of your past, you get triggered, now you're back again. So a karmic cycle is just a relentless cycle of triggers. You get triggered, and then you release it and you're living your life. Then you get triggered, and then you release it and you live your life. Everybody is going through this cycle. Everybody. Like, no matter who you are, you're going through this cycle one way or the other. The only way to get beyond this cycle is to attain what's called enlightenment. Enlightenment is moving beyond the mind. You see, this cycle can only exist in your mind, because it can only exist with the part of yourself you're at odds against. When you're constantly fighting a part of you, you open yourself up to not want to experience that part of you. So that means when that part of you come up, you're going to defend it off because you don't want to experience it. Like, you don't want to be reminded of your trauma, so you're going to do everything to avoid it. So when it come up, you're going to try to avoid it. When it come up, you're going to try to avoid it. And once it go away, you're like, okay, cool. Then it come up again, you're going to try to avoid it. It's going to be a cycle, and that's the karmic cycle. So now that we answered the first question, what is a karmic cycle? I want to move past it and say, how can you know if you're in a karmic cycle? You see, just like trash, a karmic cycle stinks, which means you can easily identify when you're caught up in one. There's 4 symptoms that will show you. They're symptoms of the cycle. 4 symptoms that will show you that you're being triggered either subconsciously or even consciously. And these 4 symptoms are worry, doubt, fear, or a complete lack of trust. These 4 symptoms will show you that you're dealing with your karmic cycle. I'm going to tell you why. Worry, doubt, fear, and the lack of trust, or either frustration, only ties you to the past or the future. Have you noticed that anytime you're worrying about something that could happen or something that has happened? You see, these are the 4 symptoms that let you know that you're getting caught up in one. When you feel these symptoms starting to come on, it's letting you know that you're thinking about something. Your focus is on the enemy and you're defending yourself from it. But what I want to let you know that there is a way out of it. Not only is there a way out of it, but the way out of it is you. Like, it's naturally who you are. And the only way to be able to see this way out of it, like, I can paint a picture for you all you want. I can give you all these words. But the only way to see the way out of it is to give yourself the opposite experience. So you know how it feels to be in your trauma. Like, everybody know how it feels to have that big bang happen in your life. Yeah, it hurts. It don't feel good. Nobody likes it. But when you know what you don't want, you always know what you do want. So whether you realize it yet or not, your trauma gave you wisdom because it showed you more of who you are. Like, when you got fired, you like, you know what, I'm done with those type of jobs. They wasn't really for me anyway. You know what I'm saying? When you say, no, I don't want that anymore, all you really saying is, I actually want this instead. So you have to give yourself the opposite experience. So what I encourage everybody to do, and what I did, was I sat down with myself for at least 7 days. And I sat down and I meditated for like 5 minutes a day. And as I meditated, I wasn't meditating to say, okay, I'm a holy man now. Like, okay, I'm this. No, I sat down and meditated because I wanted to see how it feels to be just me. I mean, without the trying to impress somebody. I mean, without the trying to get that new job, or without trying to do anything. I want to see how it feels to just be in my body, to just be here right now. Like, how comfortable are you with just being in silence? Like, right now, if I just sit here and be quiet, how does it feel to just be here? How does it feel to just be aware? To just be awake? What does that feel like to me? What is my thought process? What am I thinking right now? You know, of course your thoughts will come up. Observe them. Watch them. You know, what is happening? And as you start to do that, you start to learn what it feels like to be you. What it feels like to just be you. What it feels like to just be chilled. What it feels like to just be easy. And once you learn what it feels like to be calm, easy, at peace, and at rest, when that fight come back up again, you will have something to compare it to. Because if you spend your days and you're just being chill, then when you start fighting again, you'll notice, wait, I'm fighting. You'll be able to recognize it. You'll be able to see that you're doing it. You'll be able to say, okay, I'm getting caught up in it again. I'm getting caught up. Hold on, let me go back over here and chill out real quick. And you'll chill out again. And once you be able to do that, once you be able to identify when you're getting pulled into it, when you're getting pulled into the lies of the past or the lies of the future, you will be able to pull yourself back out of it easily. You'll be able to pull yourself back out of it more quickly. And as you begin to do that, what you're doing is you're teaching yourself to be more here than in the past fighting. You're teaching yourself to be more at ease than at war. You're teaching yourself how to remain in balance, how to remain out of a state of fight or flight, how to remain out of a state of aggression, how to remain out of a state of worry, doubt, fear, and frustration. Once you teach yourself how to stay there, something amazing happens in your life, and you gain access to the next level of your ascension. And I'm gonna go further into that in another video. So if you guys like this video, be sure you leave a like, subscribe, and be sure you leave a comment. Wait a second, did I say subscribe? Subscribe. And be sure you leave a comment, as I love for the dialogue to go back and forth. Once again, guys, thank you. It's been a pleasure for me. I hope it's a pleasure for you. As always, catch you in the next video.